Good evening, North Dakota. Jim Shaw, columnist for Forum Communications, right here as your guest host for Joel Heitkamp on Down the Road with Joel on Beck. Let me tell you what's coming up on the big shoe today. For the second half of the show, we're going to talk about entertainment. We're going to talk about the Fargodome, which is the largest entertainment venue in the state of North Dakota. We're going to talk about how COVID really hit hard the Fargodome and how the dome is bouncing back. A year ago, it was dead. There was nothing happening. Now activities are coming upon us, and believe it or not, thank goodness, in the fall, there'll be NDSU Bison football with a full house on hand and no restrictions for spectators. But first, I want to talk about a very important issue, and that is the issue of hate crimes. In Fargo, City Commissioner Arlette Preston is pushing for a hate crimes ordinance, and that will be voted on Monday night. It's a very good ordinance and very much needed. And so I am delighted to welcome to the program Fargo City Commissioner Arlette Preston. Arlette, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Before we get to the actual specifics about your proposal, give us a little background. You've been in public service forever with the City Commission and the school board. I'm not trying to say you're old, because my guess is I'm older than you are, but you've been in public service a lot with the City Commission and the school board, so especially for the benefit of the viewers in Western North Dakota, can you tell us a little about your background?
Yeah, I served on the City Commission from 92 to 2000, and then I was on the school board from 2002 to 2006. Ran for mayor at that point, and that's when Denny was elected. So
Denny Wallaker.
Denny Wallaker.
Very popular guy.
Yes,
Everybody loved Denny for his flood protection.
And unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. So anyway, then I kind of dropped out of those kinds of positions and ran back in 2020 and was reelected to the City Commission. So.
All right.
I'm here again.
You'll stay on the City Commission. You don't have plans to go back to the school board like you did to the City Commission? Okay. Although there's a lot of controversy going on there, too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yep.
So let's talk about what you are bringing in front of the Fargo City Commission. You are pushing for a hate crimes ordinance. What are the specifics of that ordinance?
So there are certain criminal offenses that can be charged out at the city level. That includes criminal mischief, which is property damage, harassment, and then simple assault. So what we have done is add 3 additional ordinances that would allow for a prosecutor to charge out a hate crime on each one of those 3. So there's a hate crime ordinance for simple assault. There's a hate crime ordinance that's being proposed on the table for Monday evening. On criminal mischief, and then the third one, harassment. So that allows the prosecutor an additional option of adding on another criminal offense. It would be another secondary misdemeanor, and it's a Class B misdemeanor, and it could potentially add a penalty of an additional $1,500 as well as an additional 30 days in jail.
And a hate crime would be based on what? A person's skin color, religion, sexual orientation? What would factor into being allowed to be considered as a hate crime?
Yeah, I'll see if I can remember them all. Certainly race, national origin, sexual orientations, gender identity, religion, disability. I think that covers most of them. So any one of those there would be an additional protection. Now, the process for actually prosecuting somebody there with that additional criminal offense would be there need to be either verbalized, targeting, like an individual is being targeted because of their religion, such as we saw in Moorhead with a mosque. And also, any communication, either electronic or by phone or by text, those kinds of things. So there has to be some evidence that would support the offense.
All right. I mean, some of it, I'm assuming, would be obvious. For example, in Moorhead, we just had the
Yes.
spray painting of with the ugly words on the mosque.
Right.
Clearly, that was a hate crime because it blasted
Yes.
Muslims. All right. As I understand it, then this is the first ordinance of its kind in any city in the state of North Dakota?
Yes, it is. We've actually had some conversations with other council members and commissioners. So they're all kind of, I think, watching what's happening in Fargo. And there may be some that follow, but yes, we're
That would be
the
great.
first.
And the state does not have an ordinance like
No.
this?
In fact, it was brought up in the last legislative session, and it was turned down. So we waited to see what was going to happen there, and if indeed it would have happened at the state level, that would have been certainly better, but it didn't, so we are pursuing it at the city level.
And we're one of the few states in the country that doesn't have this kind of ordinance, is that correct?
Yes, and I'm not going to be able to tell you how many other states. I think it's
But
just
most
a few.
do. Most do.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've established what this ordinance is all about, let's get to the why. Why are you pushing for this?
Well, we certainly have had complaints, and just watching the news in the last few years, there have been cases, and in fact, when I first started talking to the police chief about this, there were two cases that came to my mind. One was an individual that was beat up pretty badly. He was a new American, and that particular case, he ended up in the hospital, so it was a pretty severe beating up. And it was definitely, there was verbalizing of why they were doing it. So there was evidence, very clear evidence. The investigation uncovered all of that, but for some reason, it did not get referred to the FBI. So part of the reason for doing this local ordinance is to make sure that law enforcement understands the process and is real clear about what they need to do with those kinds of cases. And then there was a second case that I remember very clearly. It was a group of young women who were Muslim, and a woman approached them and threatened them, harassed them. That definitely was another example. So, and then in addition, we've had people come before us I personally have had some emails and phone calls from people that are feeling like they're being targeted because of their race and or religion or lifestyle. So that's the
So
reason.
it's fairly common in North Dakota for people
Oh, yes.
to be attacked because of any one of the number of reasons that you mentioned.
In fact, and this is from a few years back, but per capita, the number of hate crimes that have been reported, North Dakota is one of the highest ones. Now, we also have to understand that these crimes go underreported.
Right.
So I have a feeling that it's probably much higher than we even know.
Do you feel that if this ordinance becomes law, that it will serve as a deterrent to people who are thinking about assaulting someone because of their skin color or sexual orientation or religion or something along those lines?
Perhaps eventually. Individuals that do this have a deep-seated reason for doing it. So just like other crimes, this may not be a deterrent initially, but if the community, and we've said all along, this is just a start in trying to address the culture of hate, the culture of, intolerance. And we have to do more to get people to the point of feeling like this is not an okay thing to do. However, I think more importantly right now is that it says to the communities that are targeted that we won't tolerate this, that you can rely on us to come and report these, and we will take you seriously and we'll do something about it. So hopefully it will make people feel a little more safe and secure.
I hope so too. Fargo City Commissioner Tony Garrick, who is, as you know, an opponent of this hate crimes ordinance, he said on this network, "This ordinance divides us further. It's un-American and will do nothing." What is your response to Commissioner Garrick's remarks?
Wow. If he is saying that these individuals that are targeted are not American, I would argue very, very strongly against that, and I don't know if that's what he meant. The crimes that are being committed divide us more than anything. So, no, this is an attempt to try to bring in the individuals who are targeted and make them feel part of the community. So it's the opposite, in my mind, of what he is trying to say.
I want to talk to you in a related topic. Is the city of Fargo has hired a new director of diversity and equity and inclusion. So I want to talk to you about the need for that, and we're going to do that right after this short break.
Howdy, folks. It's a Canline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bossing breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Canline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing, because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit buynighthero.com. That's buynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug ELMIRON for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked ELMIRON, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call ELMIRON Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Welcome back to Down the Road with Joel. Jim Shaw, Forum Communications Columnist, your guest host. Our guest right now is Fargo City Commissioner Arlette Preston, who is pushing for a hate crimes ordinance, the first of its kind in the state of North Dakota, that will be voted on Monday night at the next Fargo City Commission meeting. However, the city has also taken other measures to push the idea of inclusion and tolerance. And one of the things that the city did with, again, under the leadership of Arlette Preston, is it hired, I want to make sure I get the title right here, a Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The hiring was of Dr. Terry Hogan, and this is the first ever person with that title in the city of Fargo. So, Arlette, what will Dr. Hogan be doing?
He will start off actually by doing an assessment of sorts, trying to get a sense of some of the obstacles that people might be encountering both inside City Hall and perhaps even out into the community in regards to employment, any kind of other kind of discriminatory kind of things. So he will do an assessment initially and then come up with some kind of plan to address those obstacles. And, you know, it's going to take a little while for him to get his feet on the ground and get to know the community a little bit. So it might be a few months down the road.
Why is there a need for this position?
Well, I think if anyone was watching what was happening in the streets last summer, there was obviously a communication gap going on between law enforcement, City Hall, and the people on the streets. This came about as a result of recognizing the need to close that communication gap and to try to understand both sides. And, you know, that's probably one of the more important roles Dr. Hogan will be playing, which is a translation coming into the City Hall as well as a translation going out. And by that I mean being able to communicate internally what people are really looking for in the streets and the protesters that were concerned about certain things, and then also being able to communicate to those individuals why it takes as long as it does to correct some of that.
What can you tell us about Dr. Hogan and his background?
Dr. Hogan actually has been serving on some pretty high-level significant committees down in Chicago. He is from Chicago, and those community-wide committees, but they were part of City Hall, were recommending policies and recommending interventions to City Hall in Chicago. So he was exposed to and was able to see the systems, the systematic issues that needed to be addressed, the processes that need to be changed. He also was teaching, and I think his PhD, if I remember correctly, is in sociology, so his background fits really well.
All right, I need to bring up Fargo City Commissioner Tony Gehrig again, who also commented on the hiring of Dr. Hogan on this very network. So I want to look at my notes here and tell you this is what he said. He said, this is Tony Gehrig now, "There's no way to prove whether he did anything or not. There's no win for anybody. There's no win for the city of Fargo. And he hopes Dr. Hogan gets fired in a year." What is your reaction to those comments?
This is so extremely disappointing coming from an elected official. The decision was made to hire the gentleman. To try to sabotage him before he even gets here is utterly ridiculous. And it is totally contrary to the experiences that other communities have had with positions like this. The school district has hired a director of DEI. The Moorhead School District has also done so. So those jurisdictions have certainly seen the value and have seen some improvements as a result. I believe strongly we're going to see the same thing in City Hall. So it's truly unfortunate that we have an elected official that's undercutting it already.
I want to switch gears in the few minutes we have left, talk about COVID-19. As you know, Fargo Moorhead was hit hard by the coronavirus. Tens of thousands of people in Fargo Moorhead were infected. Hundreds died. The city of Fargo got involved. What's your take on how the city did as far as getting involved to fight against the coronavirus?
Well, as you're probably fully aware, we had a major peak last fall in the number of cases, and Commissioner Strand and I were pushing really hard for a mask mandate prior to when it actually got implemented. I think had we implemented that earlier, it would have been a little bit less of a peak, and it would have been spread out a little further, which is the whole rationale behind doing mask mandates. Once the mask mandate was put in place, both statewide as well as in the city, we saw a decline. So the only, I guess, the regret I would have is that we didn't put that in place a little bit earlier. You know, I think when it comes to the vaccinations and the vaccine level, or the vaccination level that's happening, we're not nearly as aggressive as probably we could be, should be. And trying to work both with the Department of Health and with the mayor, trying to figure out what can we do better there, because our vaccination rate right now is about 55, 56%. It's not good enough. So we need to do better.
All right, but let's go back to your point, because mask mandates have become a hot issue. You feel that when you eventually put one in Fargo, even though it was later than you wanted to, it did good. It prevented infections, probably saved some lives.
Yes. Yes, and in fact, there's a graphic that the Department of Health at the state level put out that shows very clearly the mask mandates happened here, and within 2 weeks, the cases were declining. So, you know, there's no other explanation, and it's happened frequently in other communities that it has that kind of impact.
As you know, the North Dakota legislature passed a bill. The governor vetoed it, and they overrode the veto. So this will be law that bans statewide mask mandates.
Yeah.
It does allow cities to impose mask mandates, but there can be no statewide mandate like we had last fall. What's your reaction to what the legislature did?
It's crazy because you could watch, and we did. We watched the pandemic, or the epidemic, I should say, come across the state, and you could watch it jump from community to community. So an isolated city cannot keep the virus out if people are coming in from other parts of the state and bring it with them. So it's really unfortunate. I think people were caught up and got caught up in some misinformation and put it into public policy, which is crazy.
I'm not here to pick on your fellow commissioners, but during the worst of this pandemic, I was really struck by the fact that the city of Fargo had a mask mandate, and yet 2 of the 5 city commissioners, Tony Gehrig and Dave Pepcorn, were not wearing masks to city commission meetings in Fargo City Hall.
Yes.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, again, it's totally unfortunate because it was serving as a negative role model for the staff in City Hall. Everybody else had to abide by the rule, and they chose to flaunt it. Now, after I believe the mayor talked with both of them, then they started wearing the mask into the chambers and probably in the halls and in the offices.
So what about during the meeting when you actually were underway?
Yeah, so the city policy indicated that masks were required going to the meeting, and then once you're in the meeting, as long as you could be socially distanced, the mask could come off. So when they're sitting up there on the dais, up where we sit with the commission, we were at least 8 feet apart. So it was probably fine for that. The rest of us chose to wear the mask because of the visual that it provided for the community. It really provided, in my mind, a reinforcement of the fact that masks are important. And seeing 2 of them up there without it, I think makes a difference.
All right, last question. As you're probably aware, especially the fact that you used to serve on the Fargo School Board, the Fargo School Board censured one of its own members for not wearing a mask during school board meetings. Did you and anybody else on the City Commission consider censuring Dave Pepcorn and Tony Gehrig for not wearing masks.
Yeah, there was some conversation behind in the offices, and I think perhaps it was shortly after that that the mayor sat down and talked with both of them, and then they started wearing the mask into the room. So we never got to that point, but yes, it had been talked about.
Arlette, we are out of time, but I really appreciate you coming in today, and I certainly appreciate you pushing this hate crimes ordinance. The city of Fargo will be better off when it becomes law, and I think it'll be comforting for all people, not just people of a certain color or a certain religion, to know that the city has their back and the city recognizes that this is a problem. So good luck to you on this, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
And after this break, we will be talking to Fargodome General Manager Rob Sobolik. Hang with us, folks.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the third term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
Glad to have you with us. Jim Shaw, your guest host today on Down the Road with Joel, right here on Beck. As you all know, the last year, because of COVID, has been brutal for many of us, especially in the entertainment field and the sports field. And it certainly was very much felt at the Fargodome, which is, I believe, the largest venue in the state of North Dakota. So I thought we would talk about that today with the man in charge of that great facility, Rob Sobolik. He joins us. He is the general manager of the Fargodome. Rob, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. The Fargodome opened in, I believe, December of 1992.
Correct.
And
Yes.
you have been with the Dome since it opened. So can you tell us your history of jobs at the Fargodome?
I missed the first couple of events, but I started, I believe it was December 14th or 12th of 1992. I got to start in the parking department, so imagine my fun of one of the first places in Fargo that charged for parking, and I was the person who get to ask for the $2 at the time. So
but it's $2.
in my bright orange parka, keeping warm, so all the deer hunting jokes and everything such as that. But
did people complain to you about having to pay $2 for parking?
Yes, very much so. Yes,
Wow.
but that's fine. It is.
Are they
Everybody's
aware-
entitled to their opinion.
All right. Are they aware, like in other venues in larger cities, you're going to pay $30, $40, or $50?
I think they're very aware of it. We still get comments today, and they're very aware of it, and they're more than happy to pay when they go to Minneapolis or other venues. It's just some don't feel that that should be in Fargo, but it is what it is.
Okay.
You know?
I interrupted you. You were talking
that's
about
fine.
your history at the Fargodome. So
Yeah, so
proceed.
I started part-time in 1992 through March of 1995, and in that time period, I worked with the parking department, worked in security, did an internship. Actually, my now wife was my supervisor in my internship. We weren't dating at the time of my internship.
I was going to say, what are the ethics of
so
that? But okay.
I actually covered the front desk, the reception duties over the noon hour while they took their lunch break, and worked interned in the finance and accounting department, worked in event services, so the security, and then graduated from Moorhead State. Sorry, President Blackhurst, it will always be Moorhead State to me. Yes, I'm stubborn.
And I taught there as well. So to me, I feel the same way.
But started full-time in food and beverage in 1995, worked in there for a couple of years. Became the general manager of food and beverage and took over the event services department in 1999 as well. Became the assistant general manager in 2000 and general manager in May of 2004.
Wow. So 17 years as GM. What do you do? And I'm sure maybe a lot of the people that work for you might have the same question. What do you do as general manager?
Whoever's watching this, who knows me, will say the same thing. When you figure that out, let me know. A lot of things. You know what? Sales, relationship management, strategic thinking, long-term planning, budget management, all sorts of stuff. The good thing for me is I am extremely blessed to work with 25 other full-time staff that really have a love for that building and make my job quite easy on most days. But yes, I am the one who does the contract negotiations for all of the events that come in. I am the one who has most of the relationships with the promoters around the country and world as far as bringing in artists. Now, we have great people in our operations department, our security department, our event coordination department that have relationships with those people as well. So it's not just Rob Sobolik who brings in these events. It's everybody in that building who treats the promoters and the artists with the utmost respect and good, efficient work. They know they're going to have a good experience here. Working with our suite holders, our advertising partners, obviously our main tenant with NDSU football or athletics and the university itself, but then also now as an employee of the city of Fargo, work with the city of Fargo administration and the mayor's office and the rest of the department heads within the city of Fargo to just kind of be one big team and make things as easy as possible.
I remember when the vote took place for the Fargodome. It was a sales tax vote.
Correct.
There were an awful lot of skeptics about this building, thinking, okay, well, they'll have NDSU football and then it'll just sit empty and be a flop. It hasn't worked out that way. Is it fair to say that the Fargodome over these last 29 years has far exceeded expectations?
Well, everybody has a judgment on that, but I would think it is fair to say, yes, far exceeded. That facility we are busy. We say we have 100 to 110 event days that's open to the public annually. However, with practice days, events moving in, moving out, us changing the building over to the many different configurations we have, that building is busy 200 plus, 225 plus days a year. there's something going on
Fantastic.
there. And more than that, about a $35 to $45 million economic impact annually. We won't even get into the secondary and different things such as that. So yeah, I think a success is a mild word for it. Actually, just this morning, our director of finance, Susan Thompson, we're working on a different project, and she sent me an article that the Fargo Forum did with Bob Johnson, and when he was going around and talking to the 26 or 27 service groups pitching the Fargodome and what it could be, and the Don Hansons and Jim McLaughlins of the world, and it's kudos to them. They are one of a large group of supporters that were genius in putting the system in place that they put in.
Yeah.
So yes, it is successful, I think, beyond the thoughts of most people. And knowing what we know 30 years later, I think that vote was a pretty good vote, and actually was more than the 60% that would be there right now.
Right. I remember, this is when I was a reporter at WDAY-TV, I did a story with Don Hanson after people approved the building of the dome, and we were testing out possible seats. And so he would sit this kind of seat and that kind of, oh, this is comfortable, oh, this is a little bit, but it was just so much fun, and it was so exciting picking out the seats.
Yes, it is. And those same seats are there today.
Are they really?
And it's 30 years old. So,
okay.
So
are those seats still functioning as you
they're workable.
Okay.
They're workable.
Okay.
But, there are things that we look at, and the city of Fargo, the Fargodome Authority, which is the governing board, and the management team have done great work along with NDSU and our main tenant to keep that building, the Fargodome, cosmetically pleasing as can be, but there might be some time for some changes.
Okay, and I want to talk about that, but last question before our break here. So, COVID really hit the Fargodome hard.
Yes.
Can you tell us the impact COVID had on the number of Fargodome events and attendance at the Fargodome?
Yes, absolutely. March 13th of 2020, the middle of the state high school Class A basketball tournament, I got a call at about 2 o'clock or so from Todd Olson. I was in my office finishing up another call, and he said, hey, just giving you a heads up, we're going to announce the cancellation of the tournament after the end of this game. Life hasn't been the same since that call. But yes, financially, it was very difficult for the Fargodome. We had a significant operating loss in 2020, which is the first operating loss that the building has experienced. We will have an operating loss in 2021 because of that. But it took what we normally do of 500 to 525 plus thousand people a year down to, I believe it was about 149,000 that came through in 2020, and that was essentially from January 1 to March 13th of 2020. We did do one NDSU football game in October, which was more of a friends and family event. The North Dakota high school football playoffs were able to happen at a very reduced capacity, along with the state volleyball tournament at a reduced capacity, but essentially from March 13th of 2020 through when we came back with the Red River Valley Boat Show at the end of January this year, we did not do very much for event-wise.
Gotcha. We need to take a break now. When we come back, more with Fargodome General Manager Rob Sobolik right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more. Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity.
How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Welcome back to Down the Road with Joel, right here on Beck. Jim Shaw, Forum Communications Columnist, your guest host for today, and I will also be back on Monday and Thursday of next week. So if you're not sick of me yet, please tune in on those days. We're talking to Fargodome General Manager Rob Sobolik, who is coming off a brutal year, not his fault, it's COVID. And I want to get a sense, so you have so many events that you normally get year after year after year. Can you give us some examples of these regular events that you had to cancel?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously in the fall of 2020, we have the Big One Arts and Crafts Show, the North Dakota Agriculture Association Show, essentially the NDSU football season, Minnesota high school playoffs. Those didn't happen last fall, but that's carried into the first and second quarter of 2021. So our annual Monster Jam show, the Monster Trucks, the Red River Valley Home and Garden Show made the decision not to happen in February of 2021. Our annual Shrine Circus, the PRCA Rodeo, to name a few, are a lot of the events that have been many years of annual events, and other events that we work with been 5, 10, 15 years. The Kiwanis Pancake Carnival, things such as that, decided that it just wasn't the right time to have their event earlier in 2021. Moving forward, obviously we had Happy Harry's Rib Fest here a couple of weeks ago. We've had the NDSU commencement. We've had the Fargo High School graduations in May. Those were somewhat limited attendance, but the Happy Harry's Rib Fest was kind of the first event where it was, wow, this feels close to normal.
Yeah.
We had our staff was doing the work of what their job description calls for, and it was really nice. And moving forward, all of the rest of our annually scheduled events, USA Wrestling is coming up here in July. We have the Guns N' Roses concert in August, and then obviously the kickoff of NDSU football. Those are currently all planning 100% capacity moving forward as scheduled.
All right, that's fantastic, and I'm going to ask you more about that. I just want to have one more question about the impact of COVID. Roughly, how much money did the Dome lose as a result of COVID, and where did that money come from?
Well, gross-wise, we had about a $1.8 million operating loss in 2020. However, That was picked up. We did have a $1 million business interruption insurance policy for 2020, so we gained that. We also received some money through the state Department of Commerce Economic Resiliency grants. So we sat at about a $770,000 operating deficit for 2020. For 2021, we had originally set a budget of about $145,000 to the good, or an operating surplus, but because of these events and other things, we'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of a $750,000 to $1 million operating loss again in 2021. Nobody ever likes to do that. The positive thing is the Fargodome is backed by our Fargodome Surplus Fund that was invested with over the 30 years operating profits, excess sales tax dollars from when that sales tax was collected, that we haven't received any money from that since 2008. And different things such as that. And that fund, that surplus fund right now, actually at the end of May, I just saw the report, sits at $49 million. So that can be used to offset some of this. And with the markets the way they are, that is garnering a lot of interest on a monthly basis. And that also helps to fund capital projects in the building and other things as well. So
I'll bet. And just to touch upon something you briefly mentioned earlier, one of the reasons you have the surplus fund is because, again, exceeding by far expectations.
Yes.
Up until COVID, the Fargodome always made money. So this operationally. So this was extraordinary that for the first time in the building's history, you ran at a deficit. During this deficit, and you talked about how you made up for the losses, were you able to get by without having to lay off anybody?
All of our full-time staff remained employed. Obviously, we do have a fair number of part-time positions that are non-event based. We weren't doing events, so our event-based part-time staff was not getting any hours. And we were severely reduced on the amount of part-time labor we could have as we tried to manage everything as much as possible. So like in 2020, our operating expenses, we were able to save about $450,000 to $500,000 through a lot of that. Our labor was significantly down under budget, but our full-time staff remained employed. Because we were part of the city of Fargo, we had one or two of our staff they farmed out to the rest of the city to help in areas, but it gave our operations group and a lot of our staff actually just that opportunity. You don't want it, but you take advantage of what you can to go through the building and get projects done that they've been looking at doing. Our food and beverage put in a whole video menu board system, cleaned all the concession stands, putting in a new point of sale system to reduce contact points with the whole Apple and Google Pay. Our operations staff was able to go through all of our storage areas, kind of clean up, organize, and then actually basically from the Monday after Thanksgiving till about the middle of January, like I said, we have 25 full-time staff. Anywhere between 12 and 17 of them on any given day were inside the arena, sanding down, washing, cleaning, priming, and repainting all of the handrail inside the arena. It's tens of thousands of lineal feet, and it was something that we had been looking at for a couple of years, paying a contractor $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 to do because we didn't have the time to do it. Well, we now had the time to do it because of the unfortunate situation. So it was great to see all departments. There was marketing, there was administration, food and beverage, operations, all coming together and helping each department out on different projects. And then another department might come into admin and do some different things. So it was great to see everybody continue to work together, have that closeness of the family atmosphere we've kind of come to have our interfamily squabbles like we do, but get through it and come out on this side of it. And like I said, with Happy Harry's Rib Fest, everybody had a smile on their face, well, except for me, because I always have to watch the weather and see when it's going to rain and see when the 40-mile-an-hour winds are going to come through.
Okay.
But it was great, and it's everybody has a little different skip in their step right now because they know moving forward we're doing what we've been hired to do.
I was going to say, with COVID diminished now, not gone, but significantly diminished.
Correct.
Are things looking up at the Dome, or are you pretty much close to being back to normal?
we're close to being back to normal. Like I said, our annual events are scheduled and moving forward for 2021. I think the large touring shows are going to be a little slower to come back. There's some out there, but they're trying to focus on getting those ones that were postponed for 2020 played off. Obviously, there's labor issues everywhere, and I think as they try to bring these tours back, and the truck drivers and the bus drivers and the storage containers and the lights and the sound and the rigging for that, they're finding are maybe in a bit of short supply, and if they can find it, it's a little harder to move from city to city. So everything's working out, but I tell you what, 2022, there is great interest in a lot of events. All of our annual events will be back, and I think it's going to be very busy.
Great. All right. In 30 seconds, I think I know the answer to this question. You got to be thrilled, especially when you look at NDSU football. You can have a full house again, and those people do not have to wear masks. There can be regular tailgating. You got to be just super duper excited, and I suppose and part of you was wondering if you would ever see this day again.
There definitely was. There was a lot of days staring at the wall wondering what's next or what that next hour is going to bring, when you go back to last summer and early fall. September 4th, I think that's a Saturday against Albany. I'll probably have to find my own little space when the lights go down because it's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be super duper exciting. Rob Sobolik, thanks so much for joining us. Keep up the fantastic work at the Fargodome. We will be back with our final segment right here on Down the Road with Joel right after this.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc. Yeah.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug ELMIRON for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked ELMIRON, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call ELMIRON Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Welcome back to Down the Road with Joel. Jim Shaw, your guest host here today in our final couple of minutes. I don't know how many of you watch Stephen Colbert's show. I hope you do, because I love that show. It's hilarious. For the last, 8-9 months, up until recently, he'd been cooped up in one room doing his show. And the only person outside of a technical person, the only person in there with him was his wife, Evie, who did all the little things as a production assistant to get the show running. Well, I got to tell you, I have my own Evie Colbert. Her name is Jackie Shaw, and she's joining us right now. Jackie has been kind enough to help me out here in the studio because I'm kind of inept. And so she helps me with little things like the microphone and the earpiece and my sport jacket and my posture and that kind of thing. So I just want to say publicly thank you so much for your assistance. It has not gone unnoticed, and I really appreciate it.
And I welcome your guests, and I guide them into the studio, and I keep things quiet.
Right.
To this massive studio that we have here.
Right, you do, because we have to make sure that the second guest does not interrupt the first guest while we're going live here. So you do a wonderful job of keeping the show flowing and giving them a nice, friendly welcome at the same time. Our first guest, Arlette Preston, she was pushing for a hate crimes ordinance, which I think is a great idea and a must for any city these days. What do you think about what Arlette is pushing for?
Well, first I want to say hello to all the Beck viewers out there.
You got 15 seconds.
Okay, so yes, what Arlette came to say was extremely important, I think, especially for those targeted communities, the targeted individuals, to let them know they are important and they are supported.
Thank you, Jackie Shaw. You're a real help. I couldn't do this without you. We are done for the day. Have a great weekend. I will see you again on Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.